Nigel Farage has just done what he does best, turned Labour's internal chaos into his own personal Christmas morning. The man is practically giggling with delight after Keir Starmer handed him what might be the easiest political victory since someone decided to let Boris Johnson near a podium. Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester and arguably the only Labour politician with actual public appeal, has been blocked from standing in the Gorton and Denton by-election. And Farage, well, he has just told the world that Reform UK's chances of winning have improved massively overnight. Not slightly, not moderately, massively. This is not political spin, folks. This is Nigel Farage barely containing his excitement whilst watching Labour shoot themselves in both feet, reload, and have another go for good measure. Quick favour, if you're enjoying this absolute circus and want more British political drama delivered straight to your feed, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Over 94% of you have not done it yet. It is completely free, takes 1 second, and genuinely means the world to us here at British Mirror. Cheers if you just did. Right, back to Farage's victory lap. So, let us set the scene properly. The Gorton and Denton by-election is happening on February 26th because Andrew Gwynn, the previous Labour MP, had to step down due to significant health issues. Normally, this would be a straightforward affair. Safe Labour seat, decent majority, stick a red rosette on a lamppost and watch it win. Standard stuff. But then Labour's National Executive Committee, including our dear Prime Minister, decided to block Andy Burnham from standing. And just like that, what should have been a comfortable hold has turned into a genuine contest. It's like watching someone fumble a penalty kick in an empty goal. Actually, scratch that. It's like watching someone fumble a penalty kick in an empty goal, trip over the ball, and then accidentally score an own goal whilst lying on the ground. The level of incompetence is genuinely staggering. Farage, being the political opportunist that he is, wasted absolutely no time in capitalising on this gift from the Labour gods. Speaking after a reform rally, he laid it out with the kind of brutal honesty that politicians rarely display. He admitted, quite openly, that Burnham would have been incredibly difficult to beat. The man would have galvanised the anti-Starmer vote, pushed turnout up, and made reform's job nearly impossible. Farage even said they might have only come a good second. That is a remarkably frank assessment from someone who usually deals in bombast and bluster. But here's the kicker. Burnham is not standing, and now, according to Farage, all that anti-Starmer sentiment, which is growing faster than mould in a student flat, will coalesce around Reform UK. The opposition vote is not going to split, it is going to unify, and it is going to unify behind Nigel Farage's party. Brilliant work, Labour. Truly inspired. Now, Farage is not getting carried away completely. He's far too experienced for that. He acknowledged that this is not a pushover, comparing it to Runcorn, another traditional safe Labour seat with a hefty majority. These are not easy wins, even in the best circumstances. But the crucial difference is that Reform is now in with a serious shout. Those are his words, a serious shout, in a seat that should have been locked down tighter than the crown jewels. Labour has managed to turn what should have been a boring formality into a competitive race, and all because they were too scared of their own popular politician potentially returning to Westminster. It's political self-sabotage of the highest order, and Farage is absolutely loving every second of it. Let us talk about why Andy Burnham is such a threat to Starmer, because this is where the real juice is. Burnham is not just another Labour politician. He's charismatic, he connects with working-class voters in the north, and most crucially, he hasn't spent the last several months watching his approval ratings plummet like a piano dropped from a tower block. The man is genuinely popular. People actually like him. When was the last time you could say that about a senior Labour figure with a straight face? Burnham represents everything Starmer is not: authentic, relatable, and capable of inspiring something other than mild disappointment. If Burnham got back into Westminster, he would immediately become an alternative power centre, a focal point for disgruntled Labour MPs who are watching their leader struggle and wondering if there might be a better option. And with May's local elections looming like an ominous thundercloud, the prospect of poor results followed by internal pressure for a leadership challenge is very, very real. So, what did Starmer do? He blocked him. 10 people on Labour's National Executive Committee, including the Prime Minister himself, voted to deny Burnham permission to stand. Democracy in action, ladies and gentlemen. The party that never shuts up about representing the people has just overruled what the people of Gorton and Denton actually want. The official excuse is that it would divert resources from other campaigns happening in May. Resources, as if the Labour Party, which just won a landslide general election, can't handle one by-election in Greater Manchester. It's like Elon Musk claiming he can't afford a cup of tea. The logic is so transparently nonsense that it insults everyone's intelligence. Starmer trotted out this excuse during a visit to a health centre in Wimbledon, because apparently, even whilst defending indefensible decisions, you've got to get the photo opportunity in. He banged on about the really important elections happening across England, Wales and Scotland, and how they need all their focus on those, which would be a fair point if anyone actually believed that was the real reason. But nobody does. Not the media, not political analysts, not even Labour's own supporters. Everyone can see this for what it is: fear, pure, undiluted political fear. Starmer and his allies are terrified that Burnham would come back to Westminster and immediately become a rallying point for disaffected MPs. So instead of facing that possibility head-on, they've chosen to block him and hope nobody notices the blatantly obvious power play happening right in front of us. But here's where Labour's strategy falls apart even further. By blocking Burnham, they haven't eliminated the problem. They've made it worse, much worse. The anti-Starmer sentiment hasn't disappeared, it's just been redirected. And where is it going? Straight into Nigel Farage's welcoming arms. Reform UK is now positioned as the vehicle for people who are fed up with Starmer's leadership, fed up with Labour's broken promises, and fed up with a party that seems more interested in internal power games than actually governing. Farage doesn't even have to work particularly hard for this. Labour is doing the heavy lifting for him. They're gift-wrapping voters and posting them directly to Reform headquarters with a nice little bow on top. The comparison to Runcorn that Farage made is particularly telling. Runcorn was another safe Labour seat where Reform came uncomfortably close in recent times. These are supposed to be Labour's heartlands, the bedrock of their support, the places they could always count on no matter what. But those days are gone. Brexit shattered old loyalties, the Red Wall crumbled, and now Reform is picking up the pieces. Farage has identified a clear pathway to winning over traditional Labour voters who feel abandoned by a party that has drifted away from them. And Starmer's decision to block Burnham just confirms every negative perception those voters already had. It screams Westminster elitism, top-down control, and contempt for ordinary people's wishes. It's everything they've come to despise about modern politics, wrapped in one spectacularly stupid decision. The source continued, "After appalling failure in government, they somehow think the public will believe their sudden conversion. They're only saying this because they're petrified of reform and trying to save their own skin." That's politically brutal, but again, not wrong. The Conservatives had 14 years in power and didn't leave the ECHR, despite numerous opportunities and provocations that could have justified it. Why would voters believe they'll do it now from opposition? The European Convention on Human Rights has become a totemic issue in British politics, far beyond its actual legal significance. For the right, it represents unaccountable foreign judges overruling British democratic decisions, particularly on immigration and deportation.
For the center and left, it represents a crucial bulwark of human rights protections that prevents government overreach. The reality is probably somewhere in between, but in politics, perception matters more than reality. And the perception among many conservative voters is that the ECHR prevents Britain from controlling its borders and implementing the policies they voted for. Jenrick understood this, which is why he made leaving the ECHR his signature issue. He correctly identified that there's a substantial portion of the British electorate that feels the country's sovereignty and democratic will are being thwarted by international treaties and institutions. Whether you agree with that analysis or not, it's politically potent. And now that Jenrick has taken that issue to reform, the Conservatives are left trying to claim they're still committed to leaving, whilst most of their shadow cabinet clearly isn't. Farage's warning that the Matthew Parises, the One Nationers, are now very much going back in charge is his way of telling right-wing voters that the Conservatives are about to betray them again.